So it is 1 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. I want to introduce myself. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Bill Moore. I am the administrator of our food truck training Facebook group, as well as the author of a number of books specific to food vending. One on hot dog carts. I've got one called Food Truck 101, which helps you get started with your food truck business. And part of that book actually has information on writing a business plan. And then I have also written and released just very recently Food Truck 201, which is more about helping people to transition from doing all the work themselves to actually being a leader on their food truck and turning into a business rather than a self-created job. I have extensive background in food service. The only jobs I've ever had as full-time jobs were food related. I've been a corporate trainer. I've been a district manager, been a regional manager. I've been a personnel manager back when human resources was referred to as personnel. And I have a lot of experience dating all the way back to 1977. So when I tell you something, it's coming from experience. I haven't done research and tried to act like I know what I'm talking about. I've experienced everything I'm talking about. So let's just jump right into the business plan, the presentation. This is why you need a business plan. And it's really just a couple of points that you need to understand. Let's take some of the fear out of writing a business plan. All it is a summary of your business idea and the profit potential that business idea has. So your business plan, the narrative part of it, answers who, what, when, where, why, and how. All of that pertains to your food truck. Pretty simple questions. Basically, you're just writing a roadmap of how your business, of how the business and has potential. So it's up to you to realize that potential. You follow the roadmap, and then when you run into challenges, you either overcome them or go around them. But you got to make those course corrections. A business plan is not written in concrete. It can't be, because it has to be flexible. As I mentioned earlier, for the folks that were here before 1 o'clock, somebody that wrote a business plan in 2019 could not have possibly foreseen what would be happening in 2021 or 2022. So you got to be flexible and then respond when challenges approach. Your business plan is going to change, it's going to grow as soon as you gain real world experience. And the experience will be in things like the workflow, the guest flow, sales mix, how the expenses go, because things go up in price, some things come down. So you have to have all that experience behind you so that you can adjust the plan 6 months from now, a year from now, 18 months from now. The business plan is your opportunity to prove to yourself that your business idea is operationally sound and profitable, at least on paper. So I'll show you how you can figure out how it's profitable. Now, this is written in red for one big reason. Do not have a service write your business plan. Anytime somebody says, I need help writing a business plan, or who did y'all use? There's always somebody that says, go to Fiverr, go to some other service that writes the business plan. You simply cannot do it. And here's why. The goal that you have and the goal that the business plan writer has, they're totally different. You want a business plan that's going to show this profit potential and lead you down the path of making that profit. You know what the business plan writer wants to do? Make a pretty presentation that you'll pay money for. And guess what? If you want details in there, you have to do the research anyway. So if you're already going to do the research, write it yourself. Understand your business plan. You're the one that has to live it. So don't pay somebody else to do it. Don't waste your money. That's why we're doing this. And this is for free. Show you how to do one. Now, here's something to take away a little bit more of that fear. This is from the Small Business Administration, and this is a direct quote from their website. There is no right or wrong way to write a business plan. What's important is that your plan meets your needs. Now, I'm going to show you how to write a business plan that is what I refer to, and a lot of companies refer to it as a lean business plan. It's not going to be 40 pages long, because you don't need that nonsense. It's going to be just a roadmap. You know, roadmaps folded up into a little tiny package. We're going to have a very tiny but potent package for your business plan. The one thing that I want to get across to you guys, if you're looking for funding, the bank wants details, but they also don't want to have their time wasted by reading through 35 pages that say the same thing over and over and over. If you've ever read a real business plan, one that somebody has copied from even some of the SBA templates, they will be talking about the business, and they'll talk about who the owners are. And then a little bit later, we'll have the executive summary, which lists all the owners again. And then they'll talk about, you know, how we're serving food to answer a problem that we have in our local community. And then they'll talk a little bit later about the menu, and then they'll talk about the expenses, which is food. So they keep repeating the same thing over and over and over. We're not going to waste a banker's time saying our name 6 times throughout a 40-page document. We're just not going to do it. We're going to respect their time, just like we respect the time of our guests. We wanted to come in, order food, we want to serve it and get it out. So the same thing with that banker. I'm going to give you what you need to know. And if you have questions, you can certainly ask me. So that's what we're going to work on today. Now, we're going to talk about the prerequisites. We had 2 spreadsheets that I ask everybody to download and to try to fill out. What we have found, and this is from experience, you need to use Excel and the subscription-based Excel, because that's how I write things. I have the most up-to-date version of Excel because I do the Office 365 subscription. The problem is the older software-based versions of Excel, Numbers and Google Sheets break some of the functionality. So you'll download the sheet, it'll look just fine, and then when you go to do things, it doesn't work right. The one thing that we found out last night from several people that have older versions of Excel is it actually went in and rewrote one of my formulas. And the reason it rewrote it is because it was trying to translate it into something it could deal with, but it completely broke the sheet. It wouldn't work. And then we also found that there was one error that I made, and I'll own up to that error. I deleted a sheet, and I'll show you that here in a second. And that sheet deletion broke one of the links that I had made elsewhere in that sheet. It doesn't affect anything, but it throws an error, and it throws an error pretty early on. So people are a little bit worried about, uh-oh, this doesn't work. So I will share with you how to fix that. The first sheet we were asked to download was the food cost control. The second sheet was a break-even analyzer. Geez, I can't even talk. We're going to go through both of them just real quick, catch everybody up on what those 2 sheets should do and how they should be filled out, and then how they help you. So I'm going to have to stop sharing for a second, then I will resume the share when I have up the food cost control sheet. Unfortunately, I can't do it without stopping the share, which is, to say the least, annoying. All right, so I'll give it a second for everybody's screen to show up. There, it says everybody can see your application. What you're looking at now, let me get rid of this up here, just so everybody can see a little bit more of it. This is the food cost control spreadsheet. This has 17 different tabs all listed down here across the bottom. Okay. You don't need to do all 17 of those. We're going to end with this one here that says weighted food cost. But I'm just going to go through a couple of these just really quickly to get everybody caught up. You can click here to get started. And what it does is it jumps you to this tab, the master inventory. And then you would then list everything you're going to be selling. And again, everything you're going to be selling. You don't need to put soap. You don't need to put the small wares and the knives and the pots and pans. You don't need that. What you need is what is going to be handed to the customer. So napkins and straws and lids and cups, sodas, chips, and all the individual ingredients that go into making your delicious food. So you're going to list all that. Key points, you have to fill out column D because the spreadsheet will look for stuff in column D. If you don't fill out column D with unique names, the sheet will stop when it finds. So if you put water down 3 different times because you're selling 3 different sizes of water, but don't want to type in those size differences, and you just put water, water, and water, The sheet will stop every time on this one. It will not go beyond the first instance of water. So everything in column D needs to be what you're selling, and it needs to have a unique name. So if you're selling a bunch of different cheeses, you need to put that down: Swiss cheese, American cheese. And if you have two different slice sizes of American cheese, like you have a 120 count and a 160 count, then you need to differentiate those so that the sheet knows which one you're talking about when you go to look for American cheese. The measurement is how you would normally measure the food. The case count is how many of these measures are in the case. You put in the cost, and the sheet will tell you how much each portion costs. So in this case, the very top one here, split top bun, 16 in a case, costs $3.49, rather it's package. So it's 22 cents per bun. Anything in any of my spreadsheets that's in this yellowish color, yellowish gold color, depending upon the settings of your screen, you can type away to your heart's content. Anything that's white, you do not want to mess with. There's math formulas in there. And if you know a little bit about Excel, you know, you can highlight something like that, and then you can delete it. When you do that, it might make your life temporarily easy to get rid of something you messed up there, but the sheet is looking for everything that's here. So when you go and delete something, it now doesn't have the appropriate number of lines, and it's going to start throwing errors. So if you need to delete something, do it the old-fashioned way. Highlight it and then delete that cell. But do not delete anything that's in white, because you'll take the formulas out of it. All right, next sheet you got to do, absolutely has to be done, is this individual item sheet. This section of the sheet is set up for stuff that you would be selling that has no processing. So you buy a case of soda, you open up the case, and you're going to hand somebody a can of soda. That's what you would put here. You would list it. These drop downs list everything that's on that first sheet and list it in the same. This one's going to list in alphabetical order. If you use the older versions of Excel, that's one of the things that it does. It breaks the alphabetizing of this, and then you end up having to scroll for wherever it is, up and down. Or you could just type it in directly. As long as you spell it with capitalization and punctuation exactly how it is on the master inventory sheet, it will accept that. Otherwise, it will throw an error. Numbers and Google Sheets mess this up. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So in any case, you have to fill out these 4 cells up here. Now, what you put in them is up to you. The sales tax rate, only fill that out if your menu prices will include your taxes, your sales taxes. That is completely up to you. Most people include the sales tax so they can control the amount of coins they're going to be giving back. That's not a problem. Just don't fall into that fallacy that everyone says that making change makes you slower. It does not. If making change makes you slower, I always say learn how to count or hire a better cashier. Because I can put through many drive-throughs we've done. People are hand counting change all day long, and they are just as fast as they can be. The restaurants that I ran are probably not like the ones that you have, where it takes you 15 minutes to go through a line of 2 cars. My restaurants were fast. We respected people's time. If you don't want to include the tax, you want to let the POS system do it, absolutely fine. You just put a 0 there. This number here you need to put because it makes the sheet function and helps you to determine your prices. So you set a goal. 25% is what I recommend to people. Now I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. That 25% food cost is a goal that I know no one's going to hit. Because when people start to get on their food truck, or even in a restaurant, when it's a mom and pop restaurant, they don't hit what their recipes say. Because they have waste, they eat food, they snack, they graze, they drop something, they don't record it. So this 25% goal, I know that most people are going to really, in real life, run about 30%. So they've lost 5% of their profitability. So when I get upset with people that say 33%, we've been doing that forever. No, you haven't. Because I've been there. I've been here since the late 70s. I know what food cost was in the 70s and 80s. And I also know what the goal has been dropping since the 70s and 80s. And it hasn't been 33% since early 1982. But in any case, If you set that goal at 33%, set your recipes to that, you're still going to run 38, 39, 40%. And then you're going to be one of those people that's putting on the Facebook group that it takes 3 years to start making money. It's because you're not understanding what you're doing with the food cost. So when you set a 25% food cost goal, you need to make sure you're hitting that or getting as close to it as you possibly can, because this is perfection. Realistically, you'll probably run, if you do inventories and do all the things that I talk about on the podcast to reduce your inventory and to reduce your food usage, you'll run probably 25.5%. That's about as good as you can get. But still, that's way better than 30 and certainly way better than 40. So that has to be filled out. These two things here help account for your credit card processing. That's another sore point with me, that people jump on the group and say, well, I want to pass off the fees to somebody else. Okay, well, you're telling the guest, think about this. If your food costs $10 and you tell them, well, it's got to be $10.40 since you're using a credit card, and they pay it, they're telling you your food's worth $10.40. Just raise the price. Understand the math. So I will share with you guys, this transaction fee is anytime you scan a credit card, they're going to charge you 10 cents. And then on top of whatever the grand total is, they're charging you a fee. This is square, obviously, at 2.6% of the total of the ticket. Now, the way this is set up, every food product is going to have 10 cents more added to it. So when somebody comes in and orders a fry and a sandwich and a soda, mathematically, your food cost is assuming you're going to have 10 cents, 10 cents, 10 cents, but you're not paying out 30 cents. You're only paying out 10 cents. So you just made 20 more cents on that because you took the credit card and understood the math. So you can fill these out or you can not fill them out. Up to you. The sheet will work either way. The only one that's got to be filled out is this one, the 25% or whatever your food cost goal is going to be. The sheet will then give you recommendations. That's what's in each of these columns. You can read the titles to see what this recommended price is. Then you get to pick the price you want. And then the sheet tells you, when you sell a soda for $2.50, 14 cents of its tax, 17 cents of its credit card fees, $2.19 is actually left for you to account for your food costs, giving you a 21.01% food cost. And you see it's not 25%. That's okay. Drinks and sides should have a lower food cost to make up for the main items that you're going to be selling, that there's no way in the world people will pay, a 4 times cost or a 25% food cost. Barbecue is a good example. Slab of ribs. You probably could never get someone to pay 4 times cost for what some of you guys are paying for ribs out there. So when you sell a package with ribs in it, you've got to sell some drinks, sell some desserts, sell some sides to help bring that food cost down. Because still, the bottom line is you got to make some money. So this sheet needs to be filled out. At least that, because all the other sheets in here are looking at that number, this particular cell. So you can't come in and say, I'm just going to delete that, because if you delete it, you break the sheet. Sub recipes, final products. The video that's attached on the website I sent you guys to when you signed up for this shows you how to use these. I'm not going to go over them at all. Also the combos, it shows you how to use these. Goes over this particular sheet. All this is a summary. You see there's no yellow there. It's just a summary of what's already been done on all these other sheets. Now this is the one I want to talk about just real briefly. This starts to get into things you need to have for your business plan. The first number that you're going to deal with over here that's in yellow, because this is your input, is out of 100 guests, I expect to sell these kind of products. What this does is it makes you think about the breakdown of how your menu is going to be received. So up here we have the individual items. I'm expecting to sell 15 corn chips and 8 of these various drinks. Now you're going, Bill, that's only 24 drinks out of 100. That's correct. However, down here in the combos, I'm including drinks. So you can see I'm selling drinks there as well. So what I am expecting is out of 100 people to mainly focus on the final products of the sandwiches and the main items that you guys sell. And then if you do combos, to focus on combos. So the goal is to make all the numbers you put in these columns, this column, add up to 100. When it adds up to 100, now you have in your mind some way to look at how many people and then how much food, because that's always a big question. How much food should I prepare? Well, sit down and think about it. Every 100, you need this amount of food. If you're going to sell 200 people or serve 200 people tomorrow, just double this. You can do the math on it. And you know what? If you run out, you run out. And yes, I hate when people run out, but you guys are at the stage of learning the business. You've got to be conservative. If you run out today, you prepare a little bit more for tomorrow. And you continue to prepare a little bit more each day until you cease running out. Then you'll have good numbers you can start to make good projections on. But sitting here without having run your food truck or your food trailer, we're just going to give it a good guess. And we're going to give it our guess based on, well, if I was coming to this restaurant with this menu, I think I would get a cheeseburger most of the time. I like burgers, so that's why I have the burgers all equally weighted. You guys can do it however you want. If you need help, text me, send me a message. I've already answered like 37 messages this morning already. It's okay. I will get to them eventually. So once you go through and do all of the projections, because what you're doing is projecting how much food per 100 people you're going to sell, this gives you what is known as a weighted food cost. It's not the 25% that we started with, because we have some things that have a higher food cost. I'll show you here real quick. Those are the drinks, all nice and low, but here we have a 29, a 24, a 26, and a 28. And then down here, 26, 26, and a 29. So when we weight those and balance them with some of these less expensive products, we have a 2609. So that becomes the food cost that we should be running. If we were to take an inventory, we should be right near 2609. And then realistically, based on waste and other things, over portioning, probably about 2659 would be about where you would end up realistically, and you should feel good about it. But we'll put 2609 on our projections for our business plan. This also, based on 100 people, says that we will sell $8.93 worth of food to somebody. So that tells you one person walking up to your business is worth $8.93. And your goal becomes, how can I move that number up? How can I get $9.93 out of them? Can I sell more sodas? Can I sell more drinks? Can I sell more desserts? But you know, on average, what you think you're going to get. So a person is worth almost $9 to you. The sheet now does stuff that bankers like to see. As you fill in all this information, there's a couple of graphs that I've added that aren't on the download, but you guys can create these as well. But it pre-populates these. So as you change things, it will make the adjustments. You saw the a la carte move there. So that's how this sheet works. All of these graphs would now be copied and then pasted as a photograph into your narrative document for your business plan. So 3 hours of work or less, and you've produced all the information that pertains to your menu, all these graphs that the businessmen and the bankers, they like seeing graphs. Okay, so this is one of the prerequisites. Let's go over the next one. So again, I have to stop the share, bring up the new sheet, and then restart the share. So bear with me just a moment while I switch screens. We're going on to the break-even point. All righty, it says everybody can see. So the break-even point, same deal. It's going to open up to this beginning page. You click start here, or click here to get started, and it takes you to that tab. So we'll just jump onto that tab. This is an interview. So all you gotta do is, again, fill out the information in the yellow by whatever these questions say. The things that I want to point out is this particular business wants to be open 4 days a week. So 4 times 52 is 208. You'll notice that the number of days I have here is only 200 because I'm being realistic. I know it's going to rain. I know it's going to snow. I know it's going to do something that prevents me from going out and opening all 208 days. I'm being realistic. So we're just going to we're going to be open 200 days. The next thing you need to look at is the number of hours we're going to be open. For this business, we're going to be open 5 hours a day. And that's 5 hours of service, not 5 hours doing work. It's 5 hours serving guests. And again, you just fill out everything in yellow. That's one part of the interview. The next part is numerical. These are fixed costs. If you've heard me on the Facebook group or on the podcast, a fixed cost is a cost that does not change or very rarely changes. So in this case, your business permits, you know what they are this year because you just bought them. You're going to need them next year. So you need to have the money set aside so that next year when all those business permits become due, you're not going, oh crap, what do? I now need to have $1,000 or $1,500 or whatever your permit costs are. It's the same with insurance. It's the same with any loans that you take out. It's the same with the cell phone bill. If you get any services that don't change, those are fixed costs and you can plug those in on an annual basis. So we put in annual amounts here. Now I want to point out two really important things, actually three really important things. Number one is we're going to put in an owner salary. You can pay yourself. Now, don't get hung up on it being called a salary or a paycheck or any of the other semantic things that people fret about going, well, I'm an LLC and I can't do that. It's owner draw. I don't care what you call it. Pay yourself some money, $50,000. Make it a modest salary, something that will pay your bills at home and makes you want to get up tomorrow and start this whole nonsense all over again. If you're not paying yourself and you're going 2 or 3 years and saying, well, we haven't made any money, that's your choice. I don't want anybody living 2 or 3 years not making money. Because you know what that is? 2 or 3 years of not making money is a hobby. You have a business. Businesses make money. You got to pay yourself. So $50,000, nice modest salary. We are paying a staff member. This is a fixed cost, $30,000. This is somebody that's going to be with me opening. You're going to be with me closing. They're going to be with me all through service. It takes 2 people to run the food truck. So I am paying for 2 people. No one's going home early because if I send the employee home early, guess what happens to me? I'm the one cleaning everything up. So these 2 salaries pay for all of the labor. Now we will talk about variable labor here in just a second. Now the other number I want to point out on here is I have this listed as a bank loan. You paid startup money to your business. If you set up an LLC, you created a new entity that is different from you as a person. So Bill the person gave to Bill the business $6,000 or $60,000 or $100,000, doesn't matter what it is. You're going to pay that back. You're going to create a paper trail that says Bill's business owes Bill the person this amount of money and it will be payable in this amount of payments. So in this case, $6,000, so $500 a month, the business is going to pay back the person that invested in it. So now you have 2 sources of income out of your business. You have the salary or whatever you call it, and then you have the repayment of the startup funds that you gave the business to get the business going. 2 income sources. And we haven't even talked about profitability yet. So the fixed cost for this business would be $125,508.33. Variable cost, real short interview here. These are your goals. You recognize that number, 2608. That's what we said our food costs could realistically be. So we put that in. The next little bit here is a variable labor. It's variable because I will send these people home. So I have myself and the other dude I was telling you about. We open, we close, and we're there the whole time. This person or people, depending on the sales volume, will only come in when I think it's busy and will go home when it's slow. That's why it's variable. It varies with the sales. So those people would be essentially part-time, but it's a percentage based on whatever my sales are. Obviously my sales are real high. It's going to be a high dollar amount, but it's going to be a same percentage, 10%. And then all the other budgets we got here, all of those percents add up to 42.43%. which gives us this number here, this in green. If you want to include your sales tax, so that way you have a numerical goal to shoot for without having to do the math and all that kind of stuff, you can put the tax in there and you would look at these numbers. But this is the number you want, a daily number. The important numbers here are it takes 128.7 people, so 129 people got to come to the business every single day for it to do what? Break even. But remember, break even means that you paid all the bills, you paid yourself, and you paid yourself back. That's not a bad day. And then you look at the number of hours. So we said we're open 5 hours a day. Put up the wrong numbers. You're open 5 hours a day. So 25 people, almost 26 people coming every single hour, and we can make money, or we can break even. That's what this sheet does. Now we're going to think about what can we realistically do. So we'll put in the 26 people. So 26 whole people come in every single hour. That's what this number represents. Service goal per hour. 26 people coming in, and look what happens. We will actually profit $1,248.35 if we have 26 whole people come in every single hour. So what this does for you is it creates a marketing goal. I need to get in 26 people every single hour that I'm open. How can I do that? Because remember, a business plan, when you do one the way the SBA says and all those templates out there, what's your top line sales going to be? How do you know? That's why we're building it from the ground up, hour by hour, 26 people every single hour. So let's play a little bit with this, because this big red thing is telling you 26 people come in an hour, you're taking one order every 2 minutes and 18 seconds, 138 seconds. So let's just say that we're going to be conservative. We're new. We're only going to do 30 people an hour, which means we're taking one order every 2 minutes, which is a very leisurely pace. Okay. So 30 people, year number one that we're in business, 30 people every single hour. We now have a goal. We know how many people to market to that we have got to get coming into our business. So we're not sitting there going, man, it's slow today. If it's slow today, that should be a signal to you to get off your butt and start doing some social media, to get out in front of the trailer and start waving a sign around and drawing attention to yourself and getting people coming to your business. If you can do this for even a second, you're not paying attention to the business. Now, how dedicated am I? I never sat down in my dining rooms ever. Only place that I would sit down would be in the office when I was sitting in front of the stupid computer doing stuff. If I was out on the line, we were standing up. We weren't leaning on the counter. We weren't jumping up there and just sitting there with our butts all over where we're serving food and waiting for somebody to show up. We're not sitting there scrolling through the phone and laughing at the newest meme. We're focused on taking care of guests. We're focused on taking care of the business. So when somebody tells me that I've been 2 or 3 years doing this, you've been 2 or 3 years sitting and waiting. You've been 2 or 3 years not getting out there and addressing your business. You have a hobby. So let's play what can we do? Let's say we get as fast as I recommend people go, and that's taking one order every minute. So if you can bring in 60 people an hour for 5 hours that you're open, you will profit $167,000 just by bringing in 60 people an hour every single day that you're open. But we're not going to go with what could be. Let's go for a realistic goal. If you can do the 27,000, I can't even read that number. It's $267,900 annually. You will be exactly average for a food truck. Average is a good place to start. Okay, now we're going to go to one last sheet that I left everybody on, and that is this one. As you can see, I filled it in from last night's information, so I will delete everything. This is how the sheet would look when you guys get to it. This is the sheet for the banker that has just got to see your projections and see that profit and loss statement. Now, this is a simplistic profit and loss statement. It has a whole bunch of different names. That's one of the things I did on the podcast last week, was accounting terms, because accountants and the way that they do things, they all give them all different names, and it's still a form that tells you the bottom line is how much money we made. Okay. So that's what this sheet does. It will account for inflation, it'll account for menu increases, and it'll account for sales increases, and then put out that little pretty sheet that the bankers just love seeing. Then you would just copy this particular area that's all in white, and you could copy these graphs that will get generated. And then you can paste them into your business plan. You paste them as a photograph, so that way you can control the size and all that. All right, so we're going to stop sharing one more time and get to the spreadsheet that was available for download that we are going to now go over. So give me 1 second, bring up that sheet, business planner. All right, give it a second. Tell me everybody can see it. All right, earlier I was saying that there is a problem with one of the links. This one's it. When you click on it, you're going to get that. A reference isn't valid. That's because the original link that I had for this is going to a sheet that no longer exists. So no need to freak out, because the only thing it should have done was taken you right there. So you can just edit it. You want to be real fancy about it, just like I did. And then when you click on it, it takes you there. Or you can just click straight there. Either way you go. All right, as you can see, this one's still filled out from last night. So I'm going to clear it totally out to show you guys how this sheet works. And again, everything that's in the yellowish, goldish look, that is for you to fill out. Everything else that's in white has a math formula built in you don't want to mess with. This sheet is going to make you think about your business in a way that no other business plan ever thinks about. First thing is that average check. That was $8.93. That was from that food cost sheet where we projected what we think we can do per 100 people. So the average person is worth to us $8.93. Your opening date, put a realistic opening date, because this sheet will now look at a calendar and then count the number of Mondays and Tuesdays and so forth. So on the opening date, we're just going to say we're going to open next year right on January 1. So January 1, 2023. The opening time, if you're going to open at 10 o'clock, you would put, oops, you would put a 10 with a single colon, not a billion. All right, key, and then 2 zeros. That's the way that Excel reads time. So you have to put in the time and a colon and 2 zeros. And you can do it military time or normal time, whichever way you want. And it will give you this opening time at 10 a.m. The guest count that we had, remember we said we would do 30 people every single hour. We're open 5 hours. That's a guest count of 150 people per day. The sales projected increase, this is annually from 1 year to the next. We're not going to talk about those yet. Next thing we got to do is fill in what days we plan on being open. So we're going to be open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you can see it is now updated information up here. And look, next year there will be 209 potential days for us to be open. And remember, when we started this, we talked about being open 4 days a week. 4 times 52 is 208. So this sheet is looking at the exact number of days that will be open, potentially could be open next year. So we have 209 potential days we could be selling. Now let's look at this section here. This is a base day. This is what we're predicating everything else on. So this is asking you how many people are coming to your business from 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1. So for ease of math, I'm just going to put in 30 people every single hour. And you see that little red disclaimer went away when I got 150 people here. You can balance this if you have the experience, because you know that from 10 to 11 will not be as busy as 11 to 12. That also helps you know when to schedule people. But just for ease of demonstration, I'm just doing 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. Okay. And you can see the sheet starting to put in a little bit of information. Now we got to tell it when we're open, when we're closed, as far as weather. Now, you can look on a number of websites online to get the historical weather in your area. And it can be, just look at it and go, it typically rains, 2 2 days a week, 3 days a week, whatever. You can look at it historically. I'm going to go with what I know in the beach in Florida where I live. And typically for us in January, we actually get cold here, and the locals won't come out, and most of the snowbirds don't come out either because they wanted to avoid the cold. That's why they came here in the first place. So we would lose, let's just say 3 days. And then on the, in February, we start to get a little bit better weather, but we also start to having more rain. It's not as cold, and we start to get a little bit of the colleges that are way far up north coming down for their spring breaks late in February. So we got to think about those things as well. But as far as weather closures, we usually have 2 to 3. So I'll put 2. March, we have pretty decent weather, but we do get rain. And I'm just going to fill out what I know our historical potential weather closures are. Now, remember, we're not open 3 days here, and that's okay. I'm on a conservative number of days we're going to be open. Okay, because you can see my total now is already down to 197, and that's okay. No big deal. In June, we typically have potential for tropical storms, so we might lose a couple of days, might lose a couple in July. August, we might lose a couple. September can be horrible for us in hurricanes and tropical storms. Same with October. Okay, so I am conservatively saying I'm going to lose 39 days worth of sales. Okay, so I'm being realistic now. The seasonal sales multiplier. Seasonal sales is not spring, summer, fall, and winter. It's based on whatever your area does during those particular seasonal changes. So for example, for me, I know, and I have 25 years worth of records to substantiate this, that my sales in July are 3 times more than they are in September, October. So September and October are going to be my typical month. As far as I think that's going to be nice and calm. We don't have a lot of snowbirds. Snowbirds haven't arrived yet. All the vacationers have left. The only thing that we have are the people that aren't bound to school schedules coming and visiting. The weather is still warm, but it's not too hot, and people can enjoy the beach without being downright chilly from the wind that comes off the beach. So for me, those are our base months. We are going to do normal sales, nothing exciting, nothing is being influenced. We also, and I'll go down the list here and explain my thought patterns. January is not as busy as October, November. We lose because, again, of the temperature. February, we start to pick up a little bit, but still, we don't have enough of the spring breakers. In March, we do have spring breakers. So March ends up being better, even though the weather's not great, but there's more people here. And the people came to vacation, they came to eat, they came to do things that they can't do wherever they live. April is about the same. April for us can be a strong month. May, and these numbers are probably going to be different than what I put last night. So if you're comparing the two, they're going to be a little bit different. In May, for us, that's just a normal month, really. 1.1, 1.2. The reason being, people are doing things that aren't necessarily associated with going out and eating. You know, they're graduating, you're doing all kinds of things related to school, preparing for a vacation that starts in June, July, or August. So they're not thinking about spending a bunch of money in May. So we don't have a lot of tourists in our area in May. And actually it's more like that. And then June, we start getting a little bit busier. Like I said, July, I got 3 times the normal sales, and that's been consistent for 25 years. August, we start to fall off because we start to lose some of the vacationers up north because school's getting ready to start. Our schools start here locally. So we have those kind of issues to deal with. We don't have as much influx of tourists. And then usually something like that, November, December. So now, as you can see, I'm about 1.39% better because I've now accounted for seasonal fluctuations. How this would apply to you is, say you're up north. And I worked in Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia, so I know what summers are like up there. For us, the summers in especially Kentucky and West Virginia were slower because people were doing what? Coming to the beach. So for me, when I moved from Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia down to Florida, it was a culture shock to see that, oh my goodness, sales are so much busier in the summer, because I was used to summer being, nice and relaxed, and it's not. So get accustomed to whatever your seasons are. And yes, this sheet will work if you open odd hours, like you open on Friday for 4 hours and Saturday for 10 hours. What you want to do is just take an average of the number of hours you're going to be open across all the days you'll be open. So just add them all up. If it's 4 and then you got 10 on Saturday and 5 on Sunday, that's a total of 19 hours divided by 3. And then you can plug in the information here. Because remember, the goal on that one sheet was 30 people an hour. Doesn't matter how many hours your day is, you need 30 people every single hour that you're open. All right, the last two things we're going to plug in up here is projected sales. These will be sales increases. Naturally, your sales will increase from year 2 over year 1, just because people are more familiar with your business. You've demonstrated reliability. You've survived the whole year. So people will start to come to you naturally. Your sales will go up. And then you can make it go up higher by doing marketing and that kind of thing, but they will naturally go up. That doesn't mean you can be lazy, but you can expect maybe an 8% increase. Year 3, however, you're competing now with year 2, which already has an 8% increase on it. So you need to think about doing some marketing, because you want to maintain that 8% increase and get some more new people in. So let's do a 5% increase. So you can see now this has adjusted our revenue. So we have a graph that we can now add to the narrative of the business plan. So I'm going to talk about a couple more sheets and get off of this one. The startup, if you list everything here in yellow, it summarizes it over here. This is another one of those things that businessmen and bankers like to see. How much money do you put into it? So a startup cost is something that you pay for completely and you haven't been open for business yet. So it's a startup. You bought your trailer, you got licenses, you bought a year's worth of insurance like I have down here. You paid yourself $1,000 for that first month, whatever. You just list whatever expenses that you have literally paid out. That's your startup expenses. Then what money did you put in? Well, there's bank loans or personal funding. You got crowdfunding, grants, whatever. Fill in the information up here and it gives you the summary right here. Copy and paste those into your business plan again as photographs so you can control the size. Market analysis. This is what people just whine about. How do I do this? Okay. So you can get information from the Chamber of Commerce. If you have an economic development council or whatever your area calls it, you can get realtors to help you out with this. You can talk to city and county officials. The official websites will have this kind of information because they want to get the information out. It lets certain businesses know what kind of people are in that community and whether it makes sense for them to be there in the first place or not. So you just want to put those percentages in. And then ideally, whatever those real percentages are, is what your food is going to appeal to. So in my area, we have a lot of tourists and we have a lot of families coming in, or have a lot of families that live here. And then we also have a whole bunch of people that are blue collar because they work and do the industrial type of jobs. So when you have those two kind of combinations, you need to have a certain food. You also need to think about who, or how rather, you're going to market to those people. Where do they hang out? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they on some social media? College people, college age people are on different social media than older families are. Business professionals, they're going to be in a different place as well. So this is helping you to kind of figure out, where should I be marketing to? Where should my social media accounts be? So don't get hung up on that. Just get the information filled in. When you see the graph, go, okay, if we have a whole bunch of college kids, then you need to be doing TikTok and Snapchat and those kind of things. And just learn those platforms. Still, of course, be on all the others, but your focus is going to be where the majority of your guests come from. Because you want to make money again. You don't want to sit there with your face sitting there going, why aren't we busy? All right, this competitor's market share. This is something that a lot of people don't really understand or want to do, because they'll just say, I'm better than everybody else. Well, of course you are. You're on my Facebook group, you're listening to this, start to say you're listening to this podcast, but you're listening to and trying to get better. That doesn't make you better, though. You want to go out and see what the other people are doing. You're going to go visit these food trucks. You're going to go as a guest. You're going to do a little mini inspection. I'll go over that in a little bit. The idea is that you figure out who the leaders are in your community and who you need to be better than. So you can go through and just list their names, taco truck, burger truck, whatever. And yes, that should be in yellow, as should this one. I apologize. You can change those however you want, because all it'll do is change the information here. So you just list the top 5 and then just give it a good guess on the percentage. And what you're looking at on the percentage is how many followers they have on their different social medias, how interactive are those people on the social medias. You want to make sure that you're doing investigative reporting, basically. How popular are these food trucks, and realistically how popular? Then go show up at lunch. Do they have a line? Do they not have a line? How are they handling the line? Are they running out of food? You can glean all this information and kind of figure out who the leader is in your area and just stick a number with it. Are they far and away the leader, or are they just barely the leader? Based on this information here, we're looking at the food trucks are all about the same, with one taco truck being far and away the leader. And that's representative of our area. The one taco truck that I kind of base this off of is one of about 5 or 6 taco trucks, and he has a line pretty much the whole time he's open. It's usually a short line, 3, 4, 5 people, but it is a line. The other taco trucks don't have that. They break their lines frequently. So you're just going to compare all the competition in your area. So that's your market analysis. Then this last one here is for the bankers that just really want to have a balance sheet. Since this will be the first year for most people, the only number we get filled out would be the current year. And all a balance sheet is what you owe compared to what you own. So what you owe is down here, all the liabilities and all the debt that the business has compared to what you actually own. And it's just ideally they balance. It's one of those things that you can fill out if the banker's just insistent upon you having one, or you can have a CPA or a bookkeeper help you to fill one out. It's not difficult. But that's it. That is the whole sheet. Now, the next thing we're going to be looking at is we're going to take some of these numbers here and plug them in on that one sheet on the break even, so I can fill out that profit and loss statement. And I'm going to show you how that works real quick here. So again, apologize. We're going to stop the share. Going to switch sheets one more time. Going back to that one. And wait on it. There we go. Everybody can see it says. So year 1. Now I got to switch the sheets because I already forgot the number. So the year 1, when we did our projected sales on the business planner, it said we would do $320,006.55. All right, so 320,006.55. So you can see the sheet is populated. These graphs have populated, but they are assuming that we're doing the exact same thing year over year. We said our sales growth would be 8% and 5%. So now we have sales that are increasing. Bankers like seeing that. The expenses also increase because remember, the variable cost dollars will go up as your sales go up. So that's why the expenses go up, but we also show increasing profit. So bankers like seeing that. They like seeing growth in sales. They like seeing growth in profitability. We all know what is happening to us right now. We have inflation. So let me show you how inflation impacts your business. The inflation year to date is 9.1%. And we've had negative growth. That qualifies as a recession. Even if the government will not admit it, that's what it's doing to us. We're the ones that are out having to deal with it. And you can see the expenses have jumped, and we're starting to have a cup-shaped graph for profitability. because we didn't increase inflation there. So this means we have to decide, what are we doing for our sales? Are we going to increase prices? Do we compensate the whole 9%? So now we have the nice growth. We have the expenses again because of inflation, but we have profit growth. We don't have the U shape or the cup shape. Let's say we finally get somebody who knows what they're doing in government and gets the inflation under control. We drop back down to normalcy, which is about 2%. And we decide, no, we're just going to eat that 2% and not do price increases because we've been increasing pretty much weekly. Not a problem, because because of the increase in sales, we grew 5% in sales, but inflation only took away 3% of it. We still have profit growth. Not a lot, but we do have profit growth. So that's how inflation impacts your business. And then what you can do is increase your prices. And you can play with these numbers however you want. Once you get them where you feel like it's realistic, again, it's realistic. You're not going to start a food truck and do $1 million a year. Then you can copy and paste this, again, paste it as a photograph onto your business plan narrative. So now let's talk about the business plan narrative. So again, apologize. I'm going to switch screens one more time. I hit the wrong button. All right, we are going here. All right, everybody can see this is the presentation. Now let's talk about the narrative. All the spreadsheets that we've done to this point is going to allow you to create a narrative. So we're going to talk about creating that narrative. Writing the narrative, you're going to do 2 to 3 sentences for each of the main bullet points you have, or you're going to have just a short summary. And I'll go through each of the sections you're going to have on that very short business plan. You're going to ensure that you can support everything that you put in that plan. You can't just boast. You need to be able to back it up. That's why we spend a lot of time on these numbers. These numbers are logical. They make sense. They build upon each other. It's not just some plucking something out of the air. Because we can certainly take 30 orders every hour and get that food out. If we can't, we got a problem. We need to be able to market to bring those 30 in. There's where the challenge is. Since a lean business plan omits all of the repetitive details that are in a traditional business plan, you want to make sure you've got your market research and all the supporting document in hand during that interview when they're talking to you about your business plan if you're going for a loan, because they're going to question you, and you got to be the expert on your business. No one else is. I'm not. The people at the bank are not. You are. So you got to sell them with your passion. You got to light up when you're talking about your food. You got to get super excited when you, and I see somebody has their hand raised. I'll answer all questions at the end because I'm already going to be pushed for time as it is, because I talk a lot. Anyway, the passion, you got to demonstrate that. You've got to be super excited about your business, about your menu, about how you're going to bring people in. Your conviction is what's going to win you the loan. It's going to win the meeting. People won't get excited about your business, no matter what you're selling. You could sell the perfect food, but if you're not excited about it, no one else is going to be, and certainly not the bankers. So here's the important elements: the introduction, your logo, your address, and your business mission statement. This is how people can get a hold of you. So let's talk about the mission statement, because this is one that people freak out about. It has 3 main components: an overall vision for the company, a statement of the core values, and those values shape how the employees will act and how you're going to act, and then a statement of the goals and objectives. So here's the one that I had for our last food trailer that was pirate themed. The Pirates Galley will be a unique and positively memorable food vending experience bound by the moral, legal, and ethical standards of our industry. That says a lot in that one sentence. Unique and positively memorable. We dressed up as pirates. The area that I live in does a pirate celebration every year, so it made sense. We're just a part of the scenery, basically. but it makes us different. The kids want to come up to us as we sold comfort food, hamburgers, hot dogs, that kind of thing. Oh, let's go see that dude. It's the pirate. Yeah, I gotta see him, Daddy. Come on. And the kids bring the families over because I'm an attraction. I'm a reason to, oh, look, they sell food too. That's pretty cool. The next sentence, ensuring we deliver high quality, delicious foods by a fast and friendly staff in a sparkling and clean environment. That sentence is quality, service, and cleanliness. High quality. So every decision that gets made, will it be high quality and will it turn out delicious food? When I hire people, are they going to be fast and are they going to be friendly? And if they're not, I'm going to have to remove them from my business. You're setting a standard. Sparkling clean. That's pretty obvious. If you look at something, you know it's sparkling, you know it's clean. And of course, sanitation, you follow the rules and regulations that are set up by your health department. That's what all food trucks should do: quality, service, cleanliness. Now we add on the second C, which is community. And we will support our local community through ongoing charitable donations and volunteer work. So this takes us beyond being a leech. A leech is a business that is only in the community to get people to buy stuff. They don't give anything back. They don't make any donations. They don't buy billboards at the baseball games to pay for the fence where the all the different advertisements are located. Those businesses are part of the community. They're getting their name out there. They're showing support for things that go on in the community. And yes, you're a food truck, and yes, you can do those same things. You might do it on a smaller scale, but you can certainly do it. All right, more elements. The team and organization. This is your opportunity to write your bio and toot your own horn. You're going to talk about the company background. No matter how long you've been thinking about this, that becomes your background. Well, I've had this idea for 2 years. I developed this menu product, this menu product, this menu product. And you talk about the business structure. I'm going to be a sole proprietor. I'm going to be an LLC. I'm going to be an S Corp, whatever it is. Talk about those details because that's what the bankers want to know. And then if you're going to go for a loan, what kind of money you need and what you're going to do with it. Because again, bankers want to know those things. And if you're not going for a loan, you still want to write this stuff out so that you know what you're doing and you can adhere to your own plan. The next section is the problem you're solving. Your guests have a problem. If you sell a certain type of cuisine that's not in your area, that's the problem they have. They would love to have this particular food and it's nowhere available. Excuse me for 1 second while I get a drink. Then you're going to give the solution that you do for that problem and how you solve it. I'm going to introduce this cuisine. I'm going to advertise. I'm going to do samplings. I'm going to do whatever. But you're explaining how people have a problem and you have the solution. Then you're going to brag about your menu. You're going to put any links you have to online menus, any pictures that you've taken. Then you're going to explain how your menu is superior. And I'll go over how you can do that in just a second. Excuse me. Marketing, you're going to do a marketing plan, just a real short marketing plan, 3 or 4 points. Talk about what you're going to do to bring people into your business. And then you're going to discuss your social media because social media is not marketing. They are 2 distinct things. Social media can be used as part of your marketing plan, but it is not your only marketing plan. And then you're going to discuss the goals that you have. If you currently have 10 followers on your Facebook business page, how am I going to get to 100? How am I going to get to 500? How am I going to get to 1,000? You're going to talk about how you can do the growth and what you're doing with those social media platforms. Then you're going to do what we talked about a minute ago. Look at your competitors. You're going to explain how you're better. You're going to talk about the competitors. You're going to do that little quick shop I was talking about, or you can do this, the basics, SWOT, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you want to get all that from, again, their social media, and you actually going and visiting them. So why are you looking at the competition? In 100 battles, if you know the competition and you know your own ability, you will win. But if you're ignorant of the competition, while still knowing your own abilities, you're going to lose about as often as you win. And if you're ignorant of the competition and you're ignorant of your own abilities, you're going to lose. Sun Tzu said that. And he was a military leader in China many hundreds of years ago. The key point there Know your competition and know your own ability. Check out your competition. Just like I say, you're looking for quality service, cleanliness, and community. How do they do it? And how are you going to do it better? This is the quick shop. I'm not going to go over it. It is available as a download on the website. Part of where you guys signed up. I added it last night. But this is for you to go through, and it's just a yes or no, and then assign some points. Take you one visit and you can have a good feel for them at that particular moment. I would visit each competitor that I'm concerned about beating at least 2 or 3 times at different times, different days. And then the final thing is the financial projections, the things we've been talking about this whole presentation. You have the startup expenses and all those different things, all the graphs and the menu mix and all that kind of stuff. Again, we've already filled it all out. We can just plug it in. So how does that look? It looks just like this. You're going to do 6 pages-ish. You could do a little bit more, obviously. Could be a little bit less. Just depends on what you do with these different sections. But here it is laid out. And I put one of these on the website as well, so you have this to look at. If you can fill out this information in these boxes, there'll be enough good information for someone to get a good feel about your business and then be able to ask questions if they need to. But it's everything I just went over. So you see, we have one page that's about you, about the business, and about what you're doing to fix whatever problem the guests have. One page on your products and your menu. Then we're talking one page on social media, one page on the competition, and then 2 pages, and it could be 3 or 4 pages, depending upon what elements you use out of everything that we did to fill in all the financial stuff. But see, now each one of these graphs, you're able to answer questions about. Well, how come you think that your expenses are going to be at this $250,000 level? And you can say, well, sir, I believe that we're going to have the inflation and the things that we talked about earlier. You can answer those questions because you have to think about them before you can design these elements in the spreadsheets that I gave you. So your to-do list, write you a business plan, whether you are 1 week from opening, 2 years from opening, or you've been open 5 years, write a business plan that helps you to know what you're going to be doing. And then I would like everyone to answer a little short survey. It's got 8 questions, because the only way you can improve is to get feedback. And I need to know your guys' thoughts. We can do a question and answer. I'll go through all the chat. I see there's about 10 chats, and I'll answer all of those. But I'm going to leave you with these 3 quotes. Anything worth doing, just like your business plan, is worth doing poorly until you can learn to do it well. So write a business plan. Don't be afraid of it. It's not a thesis paper in college, and your whole life depends on whether somebody approves it and gives you that degree or not. If no one approves any kind of loan for you, just rewrite a business plan. You can write as many as you want. It's okay. The first one I wrote was god awful, but I got money. You just got to do it. You don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. Just like that first business plan, it was awful, wasn't great. And then my favorite quote, you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. That's why I do the things that I do on the podcast, on the YouTube channel, on the Facebook group. I want to help people be successful.